Hello, everyone. It's Cheryl Millett here, live at 5. It's a Monday. It's that time again, Monday. So, how is everybody doing? It seems that definitely in a day or even in a week, so many things can kind of come up. And some of those things I'm going to bring, some of them are looking at COVID as a learning experience, or even this event or any event as a learning experience, our soul's experience, our part of the journey, a destination that wholeheartedly wholeheartedly is part of the growth, the growing, the future, the desires that are maybe embedded as known, but somewhere deep and down inside, something like that. Anyway, I do want to speak about a number of things, but as usual, welcome to Live at 5, and if you're new, to this live at 5. It's been going on for about 3 years, but the idea is it's all things healthy, and it's not necessarily, in any of these videos are not necessarily meant for you to kind of get the latest and the greatest of news, but how does that news impact us or get a different perspective on it? And I really think that sometimes the perspective and understanding how perspective plays in our living, in our being here, a human man experience, that we can learn a lot more. And that by being, how can I say it, grabbed, taken hold by the hair and dragged into these events, that, maybe sometimes feeling that it's not really something we created. We're not part of that, but we're all part of creation, or as is said, we're all part of the creation, and we need to we can look at it a little differently. But the key thing is that people have choice. And chance, well, I'm going to talk about a story of chance so you can kind of get a feel for what I'm talking about. It is true that if we share through story, that we get a better feel for it. But, and the big but, is that everybody's story in the same situation can be completely different, because it is. Everyone's journey is completely different from the next person. And it's not for us to tell people what to do. If you do this, it's going to be like this. If you do that, da da da, and if you read this, you're going to get this out of it. Everybody's going to get out of it what they need to get out of it. And this brings us to, I'm going to bring up the talk about ego and inner, and bring it back to inner and all of that kind of stuff. So I don't see one thing being any more important than the other, in the sense that at the end of the day, you are, responsible for what you think, what you do, what you speak. And that is something, the feelings, the emotions, and beliefs that you have limiting, and therefore, just reaction, not good feelings, like all of that comes to a place where, and again, this is flipping it upside down, to be very grateful for all of that, because all of that or any of that that's coming forth is actually teaching you what you grow inside, teaching you about yourself. Now, it is absolutely challenging at times, primarily because we have not understood it. We have not been educated on it. We have not witnessed it. Let's just say our parents didn't know better, our grandparents didn't. And there was a time where I would think, yeah, elders are wise. But there was a time where I thought, no, not necessarily, because of the, shite that kind of exists out there, that it's been a long time, where there's been all kinds of confusion from the indoctrination of church, indoctrinations of our educational system, our political system. All of those things have caused us not to have the wise people that maybe we think exist, and that still exist somewhat in the native culture. And this is, again, going back in the years, and how many years, and how you think and how you respect each other, and all of those things. So the something completely new, which is usually what I talk about, and I have talked about this before, but some of you may have, well, put it aside, so much information, so many things happening, and others, well, this is completely new to you, for sure. And I'm going to show you a pair of glasses, but I also want to teach you that our body is such a miracle, and how certain conditions come to be for common sense. So it's logical. It's logical and how they come about. So I'm going to talk about the eyes for a minute, and I'm going to show you these pinhole glasses. So you can see there's pinholes in there, and it's not really relevant that there's all these pinholes because you can get a piece of paper and make one pinhole and be able to read the menu. But for ease of use, then because you're going to try and look through one pinhole anyway when you're reading. But these pinhole glasses, what they will do is they focus the light through into the eye so you can read. So if you have a stigma, there might be certain reasons why you can't. But I remember, I think these were 29, about 30 bucks plus tax, whatever, under 40 bucks. But if you are using or exhausting your eyes, that's why you're going to need these. That's why you're going to need any glasses at the end of the day, is because of the exhaustion, the screen, all of those things. So there's definitely simple exercises to gain back your eyesight. The idea is that you actually have to be willing to come down on your glasses, come down on it because you got to see. You're driving. If you use them for driving and things. So if your eyesight has progressively gotten worse over the years, then it's about coming down off the glasses. So like anything, I think the sign is if anything's worth going or worth doing or worth the trip, there's a journey to that. It just doesn't happen overnight. So a place worth going, then it's going to take your energy, it's going to take your thing. But I don't have to rely on glasses. In 20 minutes a day with these or do book readings, very simple. I mean, you could use it on your computer as well, because really the only thing that really makes sense for your eyes for reading is actually sunlight. That's the light. Now, the way they do pages today is bright white with a little bit of black, whereas if you're using your computer or even your phone, it's the opposite that's really helpful. It's like all black background with white letters. So all these little pieces, all these nuances that come into play. And of course, if you are lacking in deficiencies, you may not be at times nutritionally sound for your body, but you could have meds that cause blindness, and that's my understanding of the diabetic neuropathy. That's a condition, a complication of diabetes, progressive diabetes, and I think especially if you're on meds and more meds, then neuropathy, that is losing your sight, going blind. That in itself is the medicine, the toxicity of the medicine and the condition. There's always pieces. Lifestyle is a bunch of pieces, right? So anyway, pinhole glasses, if you've never ever heard of them, I'll look up Bates. Dr. Bates was the one who explored them. He was an eye doctor, and he spoke openly about the issues about wearing glasses and how much of a stress it is on the brain. Through the eyes, everything's connected, and how they don't work in the long run. It's the same thing. Get to the root cause. Why is your eyes progressively getting worse? And if you start on the glasses thing, then that may be a little different. But our habits and our choices will absolutely dictate any part of our physical being, health, what's going on. But pinhole glasses, and again, I've personally have worked with people to do the exercise on top of this so that they can get rid of even quicker by doing eye exercises. If you're in yoga, you might have recognized that there is, in some of these yoga books. I had a yoga book, and one of them was doing the eye circles. They're a muscle. So being able to use that gets the flow, the circulation into it, instead of just looking, straight, always straight. And that, if you don't use, you lose. The same with thyroid. I don't have any air conditioning for the simple reason is I want my body to know how to warm up or cool down on its own and go with the flow with the temperature outside. And plus also, I don't really like the idea of all the filters, and the filters being the problem for people getting respiratory sickness because they have not cleaned them out in a long time. So that's always something to be mindful. You have anything that exists, filters. It can be, it's one, maintenance is going to be the huge thing with all technology at the end of the day. So that's important there. Now I wanted to Yeah, so that's something new. The pinhole glasses, the fact that you can actually reverse nearsightedness or farsightedness or a number of other eye conditions. Yes, do you have to do some exercises? Do you have to take the time to do some? Yes. Is it worth it? Yes. Your eyesight is absolutely worth it. No question about it. Absolutely worth it. And I can't tell you that even just having sunglasses and knowing where you put them or where are they or how many, I mean, is there anybody here that's never lost a pair of glasses or sunglasses? And then you have to go looking for them. So I recognize I didn't want glasses at an early age because it's just pain in the butt on one side. But look, that kind of thinking brought me to understanding more about eye health and what we can do with it over the years because I questioned and I wanted answers and I spoke to eye doctors. Nope, everybody's going to need to have glasses to see, even to read, especially to read, after the age of 40. So now I'm 50 plus, 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 whatever, over 55, and no, I don't need reading glasses. When I need reading glasses is when I'm inside, and I don't know about you, but you probably do see business cards or this fine print you have to read. That's just crazy, that's just craziness. So I will pull out my glasses and use them, but I can pull out the pinhole glasses now, right? Can pull. Now the thing about the pinhole glasses is it does block out some of the light. So you want to be, I mean, they're just amazing outdoor and daylight. And I said, most of the pages in the books, because it would cause a lot of, it would be very pricey to make books black with white writing. It would. Much easier on a computer. It's just a program. But ideally, you can use these pinhole glasses to take away the glare of the paper when you're outside reading. So I just kind of wanted to pipe in about that and if it's first time or inspire other people as well. Now it's the truth. We do have to put some effort, as I said before. So I'm going to go right into physical care, right into physical care here, because it is clear that no matter what we think, okay, no matter what we put into our body nutritionally, that is part of physical care, yes. And I'll just leave it as the thinking part. So no matter what you think or what you believe, I mean, all part of the thinking mind, the mental mind, you still have a physical body. And that physical body, and I've heard people say over the years, it's your temple, it's your temple, you only have one. Yeah, I mean, we don't have to get hung up on the language, but at the end of the day, we are physical. And man is, yes, there's metaphysical and then there's spiritual, and you got the mind in there, the mental in there. Yes, but the physical body requires care, requires maintenance in some ways, and that is about being physical, not being competitive, not setting high goals and being elite athletes or anything like that, but active. And does that mean doing the chores, doing some sort of chores, doing gardening? I mean, in the days of past, they were very physically active because that's how they had it to survive. They didn't have the conveniences we have today. So if you can walk, and you've heard this before, if you can walk to the store, go walk to the store. Give yourself some extra time. And if it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and I know sometimes you think, oh, I got a lot to do your big shopping every once in a while. But for the little things on a weekly basis, you have a list. I mean, if you have to use one of those wheelie carts, use one of those wheelie carts. But otherwise, knapsacks and carry a little bit and do that. Get physical, get physical. And that way you're using all of the muscles. I mean, my biggest thing that I've been telling people, only because I practice it, is the YDAN exercises. Well, they're not really exercises, but they are moves. And it's getting the body physically active for 20 minutes, but beyond what you could do if you were, because quite often if you think of gardening, if you think of housekeeping, in some ways you're still limiting in your movements and you could get sore if you overdo it, right? Why, Dan, what I've grown to appreciate after 10 years is it loosens up the body, and because there's a little bit of shaking, it gets the circulation going, including the energy, not just lymph, not just the blood flow, but actually the energy, because there's, meridians and we're all energy. and it moves the spine, right? So you got these motions. You do it to your can. So do it to your ability at first, and you'll see it. But touching your toes. So there's some flexibility, help you keep flexible, not being stiff. So many things, even if we go to do being physically active in a day, unless you're stretching or understand, just how you can move your neck to loosen up things because of the tension that comes in when you're doing some physical activity or just from the amount of stress in your life. So why, Dan, is the simplest, easiest thing to learn. 15, 20 minutes, do part of it, do it twice a day if you're in a place where you can, and to speed up the momentum of healing, speed up the momentum of, yeah, the whole circulation, the feeling good about it at the same time. So I just kind of wanted to come in briefly today to talk about that physical activity part to take care of our physical body. Nutrition, it's a it's a much larger topic, but the physical activity, so just kind of making today physical. And so this is something I now teach. It's every quarter, just to make it simpler because of all the hats I wear, but it's every quarter, and I do it on Zoom now, so that way anybody in North America can, well, anybody in the world, I guess, time sync to be able, or they just watch the recording, but it's to learn it. You deserve it. You deserve to understand that even the body, why Dan even exists, because for thousands of years it existed, but let's call it the royalty used it in Asia, and they didn't really teach or bring it up. Now I think over age of 40 they're doing some things around Wydan over there. But again, it's easy to do, or the easiest thing to do, and it works with setting your body up for the day, but it also unwinds the things that before, so it keeps your body in fluid, in motion, in working order. It's like the tune-up. You can run your car all the time and drive your car, and that will keep things the way it does by all that, activity driving your car. If you don't drive it, then if you just let it sit all the time, it's not good for the car. But then you have the tune-up, and why Dan is a daily tune-up that we physically need, maybe some more than others. If you have any health conditions at all, you're going to see the benefit because you just haven't had the circulation in all those ways, energy, lymph, which is tied to your immune system in essence, if that's how it really works, and circulation. So think about that in a sense of how you can do something every day that's going to improve and work with your flexibility, your all your joints and the way they move, working with the energy, like the flicking and stuff, so moving the energy in your body, the flexibility, strength even. So there's strength exercises where it's called strengthening your shoulders, and you have your arms up and you're doing this, and it's probably one of the more challenging exercises that people mention when they're learning it. And so strength building, for those who are not going to go to the gym, they're not going to do weights. It's boring. It's boring for me anyway. But I have known so many people that have gotten injuries in doing the weights. And it could be even these elite athletes to what they put their body through. I mean, it makes or breaks a career when we're thinking about elite athletes and what they put their body through. Absolutely. I met a fellow recently, a story, up at the gardening. He's very, very young, and he was going to be trying out for soccer team. And now we're talking, as they just had soccer recently, that to that degree. And he was going to audition, but he had hurt his ankle and could not. So there you go. It can make or break the next several years of your life. And if you have already worked so hard to do it, then, gone. I mean, they don't say, hey, we'll have you come back next year. And maybe they do. I don't know. But the idea is, the simple thing is to move our body and to be physically and to take care of our body. I'll go into nutrition things time and time again. But I definitely wanted to bring up that. To take care of your body. And sure, some people are doing things in chairs, some things are doing in their bed, whatever you can do. Some of these are really simple as far as the YDAN moves. You could do it in bed. I mean, everybody can not everybody can shake their hands, but you know what I mean. There's different things in shaking and stuff like that. In teaching it, I have brought in other aspects to teach people how some of these moves actually work with the body, a little bit more information in there. The other thing, physically, which I think it ties into mental, of course, it ties into mental tension, stress, all that kind of stuff, is the detoxification pathways. So people have heard detoxifying, cleansing, and there's so many different ways. And I have mentioned this before. It's cleansing even if you get a good night's sleep. It's cleansing if you drink enough water. But beyond that, sometimes people are, I mean, all the relaxation things that you can do, the deep breathing you can do, anything to not get tense, of course, is kind of like preventative. And then the things that kind of can reverse the tension. But at any rate, we have a circumstances today where things are possibly shedding, right? Things are possibly being spread. And at any level, you can think about anything here that I've already mentioned to do and do better and incorporate and to work in and be mindful of and set the practice in place, and you can do that absolutely. But there is some other things that can be done. We think of spring and fall, change of seasons, and some of those things are very, very helpful. Some of them, one of the things I like to do in the fall, because there's lots of fruits and vegetables, is the 7-day raw food um, detox, let's call it. And all it is eating fruits and vegetables, but in a certain way, in a certain quantity, with some break time. So you can't, I mean, as far as detox and cleansing to that degree, you have to understand if you are super busy, it definitely doesn't work as well. Okay? So if you're super busy, you got a lot of on the go, you're actually moving around from here to there, but just busy, 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 you're not relaxing as much as you think. And it's not helpful in the whole package, but it's not helpful if you actually are engaging in with a particular program that's meant to take it up a notch with the cleansing and detoxifying. So I've tried it, I've experimented, and I can tell you wholeheartedly it does not work as well. So everybody's different, but again, if you have stress, a lot of stress or tension, some people get tense with little stress, let's say, or little things going on, while others might get, might have a lot coming at them and not get as tense. Anyway, you can see where I'm going with that, but the idea is it doesn't work. So to consider and to just put it out there and feel whether or not it's for you. Detoxifying, cleansing. Some program, is it, dandelion tea in the spring? Is it, I like to eat dandelions in the spring, nice fresh shoots coming out. Eat a salad, eat 2 salads, eat 4 or 5 salads of dandelions first thing in the year. And there's different things that you can do with them too. Again, dandelion tea, and there's the roots and tinctures and all of those kind of things. But I definitely want to talk, that's and being the support for our physical body, and with the shedding that happens, that's even going to be very, very helpful, because really what you're doing is just supporting the body to do to work effectively and efficiently. And if that's regeneration or if that's detoxification, um, it could be both, right? Or a combination, combination there. So the thing I'm going to get to is there's a song, no more like a poem, and I'm going to post it because I got it recently, and it's called Spoken Word. We don't comply, we don't obey. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to put the link down below. It's something that somebody wrote, and there's definitely some native influence in there, and you'll see what that means by looking. It's just 8 minutes. It's worth that. It's worth it. But if you're not feeling it to watch it, then don't feel it. But it does go through a number of things to this current event. But definitely thinking for ourselves is definitely what's happening with all this creativity, that's kind of coming out. The thing I want to go into now is something that's kind of coming up more and more, is the idea of the effects. okay, the effects of what's happening out there. And I want to turn it right upside down and spin it, okay, so that we can look at it in a couple ways. One, yes, everybody has choice and they're making their choices. And whether you choose no or whether you choose yes, but let's say you choose no, any which way you choose, there may be some thoughts, limiting thoughts that you have is, am I going to catch it from the people who have been injected? And the thing about thoughts is I'm just going to say it in this way, and this is what I've taught by my teachers, what you think about, you bring about. So at any rate, if there are things that we're being brought aware of or being educated on, great. But understand that the worry about it or the questions about it, any of that, if it doesn't serve you, what you think about, you bring about. Appreciate and be in gratitude that you receive the awareness, right? That you receive the awareness. Not that you have to go into, this is ego stuff. You have to go into, I know more than other people. That's ego stuff. So that is not serving you at all. Where you think you know more than somebody else, you're better than somebody else because you know more. All of that, or less than. You got the first injection and you are less now. You got one, and you start worrying that the mind and the thoughts and the thinkings are more powerful than maybe some people know. And maybe it just so happens it's not something it's going to happen anyway, even if you think about it. But we don't know that. This is just all for awareness and education. Don't worry, be happy, as the song goes. But I like what they did with this poem. There's a lot of things that might make sense, especially to the people here on this live at 5, and you'll see the creative nature of it, the creative nature. So what I wanted to go in, as I was kind of talking about what you think about, you bring about, is the idea of, yes, awareness. And you may have already heard that four pilots have passed onto uh, their other self, not their physical self, but let's just say another self, an energy self, something like that, and that they're looking into it. So you may hear, and everybody may hear, and this is rightfully so, until they've actually had a good amount of time to look at it. What I've heard over the years is they don't want people to panic. Okay, so there's going to be a balance here and different sides to look at it and unique to the situation. But understand what I'm saying. If you have some leadership that really don't know all that's going on, maybe had an inkling there's these effects that are happening, and all of a sudden you're aware of four very healthy, and they can't fly if they're not, young pilots. I'm not sure if they're all male or female, but female, male, passing, very soon after for almost no reason at all. And coincidence that there is none. There is the talk, always an understanding that blood clotting is a thing. Oh, it's rare, mind you, but they don't know how rare it's rare. We haven't finished the experiment. So I always have a chuckle when I hear rare, because, and this earlier in the game, because there's not been enough time. In my mind, as soon as one thing happens, then you should look at it. You should look at it. Now, we're not in usual circumstances here, because we're talking about people who are playing games. That's what I will say. Planning. Yeah, those kind of things, right? Those kind of things. So they're looking into it. Now, apparently I heard as well that the CDC is looking into the young children. I'll call them young. Maybe they don't want to be called a child, but teenagers under the age of 17, maybe 12 to 17, that have passed due to heart attack. And you have heart attacks because of clots. You have strokes because of clots. So clots, blood clots, it gets to that anyway. And so they're looking at it a month later. Now, ideally, in any position, sooner would have been better, of course, brought to their attention, and would have been an immediately, emergency. However, people choose what they choose out of fear, don't want to make it an issue for the people that will get very fearful. So sometimes people choose that path of not wanting to make more out of it yet until they've done their due diligence. And at the end of the day, we still understand the facts. When things happen, they happen. You can't undo the happening. You can't come in and say it wasn't related. And it's clear, it's clear. And this is clarity. And so when they get, where certain people, certain companies, certain organizations say that it's nothing to be concerned about, I'd be concerned with them saying there's nothing to be concerned about. Absolutely. I mean, if it were my son, 17 years old, athlete, in perfect shape, as one scenario did, passed right after, I mean, not right after, but in time for me, there's no coincidences. So this is happening. Now, what I want to bring light to is the website. I'm just going to go through it, and I'm not sure if I actually have it on here. Oh, here it is here. So I'm just going to, like that. All right, so this is the healthinfobase.canada.ca COVID-19 vaccine safety. And they definitely have come up with a lot more information. And so I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger here because the chart's here. In here, they're absolutely saying 119 people died. Now, what they're doing, and again, so that people don't panic, they have created, and which they may do, is, let me see where it is here, because I had not got a number of, yeah, it's in here somewhere. It's quite a long page, but I do recommend it. Browse through it, unless it's going to get you, unless it's more information than you can handle. Where is it? 119. I went all over the place in here. So I'm going to start in here. Reporting serious doses, female, adverse effects. So, 8,000, number of reports. And this is critical to know. I mean, most people don't know they can report it, and there's a lot of people that have not reported it. So here we have about 8,000 of ones that have been reported for the reasons they have. Good that we have some. Serious and non-serious adverse events reported. And just to kind of give, yes, so 7,926 individual reports represent 7,926 people who reported one or more adverse events. And most more frequently report adverse. Okay, so this is more frequently. So in some cases when they say rare, or they say the most frequently, they're leaving things out, or there is the unknown. Let me say that. Most frequently, because you have to understand that what I understood back when I had a client who had the cervical cancer, when they're in grade 7, 8, the HPV vaccine, she went into like crippled to an old lady. I mean, within 24 hours. And they said, Toronto Public Health had said, well, prove it. Prove it. And she was told by her lawyer, don't even go down that path. They've got more money, more clout, more lawyers, more everything. They'll clean you, you home, divorce, all the energy that you go in. It's not worth it. So that was because, to my point, 1% of the time, what happened to her daughter, if it's under 1% of the time, they don't legally have to put it on the documentation. Now, if I'm a mother, and this is what she said to me, if I had known all possible things that could happen, I would have never subjected to my daughter to that. So you wonder, by not putting these things in there, is it actually holding back? It's making a difference in their choices. And so people here are too lazy to read up on these adverse effects, to read up on it. And this is, if anything happens, they're 100% responsible for, if you choose to get it, you're 100% responsible. Don't blame the government. Don't blame anybody else but yourself. You'd make the choice. And so if you're thinking about going, you make the choice, and that's your choice. And you take full responsibility. What happens on either, you don't or you do. You just take full responsibility. But worrying about it, Either way makes you just got to be the one that's most comfortable for you. That's why I used to say to people, whatever's the most comfortable for you. It's easier to accept responsibility if you have made a decision that's more comfortable. So let's just see what here. Vaccination site pain. I'm going to try and make this a little bit bigger here. It's a little the chart is not getting any bigger. I'm going to use my glasses here because I have the light right in my face as well. So this will be good. Oh, this is easy. Tingling and prickling, itching. Now they have these long names. Parathesia, tingling and prickling. That sounds like you're paralyzed in some ways. What is it? Prunitus, itching. Vaccination site erythema, redness. Vaccination site swelling. Dyspnea, which is labored breathing. Now that's freaky in itself. That's kind of what happened to my neighbor, and she was like freaked out. She was just going, why did I take them? Anyway, nausea, fatigue, hives, dizziness, vaccination site warmth, redness, again, erythema, but maybe not in that area. You've seen a lot of the skin conditions that have come about. Again, it's inflammation. So all of this is inflammation causing the symptoms. What else is here? Fever, greater than 38, numbness, chills, pain, throat tightness, swollen lymph nodes, vomiting, itching again, but it's the vaccination site reaction, chest discomfort, and then they've got diarrhea again here, vaccination site inflammation. Anyway, again, if you were just to read that chart, you would not be knowing all of it. So then it goes down here, thrombosis. This is the blood clotting. Never mind the heart inflammation. Vaccine-induced immune thrombocytopenia, also known as vaccine-induced thrombotic immune thrombocytopenia, is characterized as TTS. Anyway, there's all of this stuff. But anyway, you have inflammation happening and causing a number of inflammation for sure. And the other part of it is the toxicity part, because that's what your body's producing. I can't say that. You can't say it any clearer. The thing that they want your body to produce to help you is pathogenic. It's toxic. And that's besides the other ingredients that are the preservatives in there. So 54 of those cases, thrombosis or whatever, in using the AstraZeneca vaccine. Symptoms start between 1 and 34 days. So remember, there is a window here you have to pay attention to. They go through the ages. They go through 50 reports following the first vaccine dose, and the dose number for 4 were not specified. Yeah, I mean, they still have to get enough information. And 6 people died. There you go, from having that inflammatory. So 6 people died. And then there's myocarditis, which is inflammation of the heart muscle. And again, inflammation. They're going to have you think that inflammation, I can't even repeat this enough, I repeat it every time. Inflammation is the root cause. It's the bad guy. It's the thing you have to manage. It's the anti-inflammatories and do all these things. It is not the root cause. Inflammation is not, it's the symptom. It just so happens the fancy names and labels that they give them is at the site of the inflammation. But inflammation is a symptom. And all this inflammation happening is probably a combination of the what the body's producing, a pathogen. So it becomes very toxic on the body. And toxins are a good part to do with inflammation, besides infection, which you can create, food poisoning and stuff like that, and all the poisoning, and then injury, right? So both of those. But irritation is primarily the lack of detoxification or cleansing, kind of bringing that up as well. These, and then of course, and this is crazy because now you have something external coming in, making something. It's not even coming in with your food. You're putting it directly into your body. You don't even have the protective mechanism of your skin or your somewhat what I would say a skin. It's a hollow tube. It's really external, your digestive system, in a lot of ways. You're not using those two big defenses, right? When you're not using those defenses anymore, when they put it directly into your blood. And if you put anything of infection or whatever, this is sepsis, blood infection, you kind of have it introduced. And again, remember, microbes are either raising life, all about life and giving life, or they're about recycling life. And that's what happens when you have food that's basically harvested, let's say, mostly meat products, and you have those microbes that are there because it's about recycling when something dies. And that's why it's so, so important for food safety to be mindful that that's how it works. And but we want live food as much as possible because all of the convenience of the processed foods and the preservatives they put in, the sugar, salt, all those kind of things, are not healthy. At the end of the day, too much and not healthy, and in itself is toxicity. If it's toxic to your gut, that's where it's going to show up in gut problems and give there. It might not get into the system. But what they'll say in Ayurvedic and Chinese, everything starts in the gut. Now, that is true to a certain extent because we also have to put on the mental. So let's continue on here. Yeah, so there's 50 myocarditis cases. Now, let's just think this is 1%, or 2% or something like that. Some people don't even want to know, you know what, they were old and they had a few conditions, so we're not going to put it down as such. So without question, these are probably only the tip of the iceberg. And how big the iceberg is, be it how much is on top and how much is below, is really going to be unknown. So 65 cases of myocarditis for, I think, all of these. Pfizer, 50 cases for Pfizer, 50 cases, yeah, Pfizer, and then they go through. So to me, it seems like all of them have this inflammatory. Well, why not? You're producing something that's pathogenic and toxic and giving it to your body. Capillary leak syndrome, up until including June 18th, one case of capillary leak syndrome has been reported, and this event occurred following a first dose of AstraZeneca. So what's that? But we do know Guillain-Barré syndrome, and that's where it looks like they are jolting. It has to do with their nervous system, and that's the other thing. If this passes the blood-brain barrier, like they say, where's your control center? Where's that which uses 40% of the nutrients coming in? It's your brain. That is where you don't want things stressing it out. You don't want things, and that's including meds even as well. So up to including June 18th, there are a total of 28 reports of GBS in Canada alone. 16 cases received the AstraZeneca. Let's see, 2 cases received Moderna, and 10 cases received Pfizer. So there's not one better than the other when it comes here. Or you may say, oh yeah, there's 16 cases. Yeah, okay, well, we can go down that road, of course. You justify it, which, if you want to get it, we're going to go into the traveling thing in a bit. But, so preliminary analysis shows that the rate of GBS following AstraZeneca is higher than the rate of just, yeah, we got numbers, but, at the end of the day, it's still a possibility. So it gives you age, symptoms started, so a little bit thing, deaths. So here we go. Up until including June 18th, a total of 119 deaths were reported after the administration of a vaccine. Following medical case review, now they're gonna step on this one more than they are gonna step on the other ones. So when I say by that, you'll know when I say this. So 30 are still under investigation. 50 of these deaths are unlikely. Unlikely, that means nothing. Linked to, because really they cannot say that until they're finished their full investigation. And 33 deaths could not be assessed due to insufficient information. How convenient is what I would say. How convenient. And 6 deaths were followed by the diagnosis of TTS. That's what I was talking about there, the thrombosis stuff. So adverse events of special interest are specifically medically significant events. To me, it doesn't have to be significant. You want everything monitored, everything put down. not just, things greater than this, potentially to causal associated with a vaccine product. Just significant. Now, everything should be monitored. I'm sorry. Everything should be considered and everything should be reported. They must be carefully monitored and confirmed by further special studies, and how long that's going to take. So events of interest due to their association, at the any rate, they're just keep pounding the pavement and giving more people done when you have this kind of stuff happening. Um, yeah, so events of interest for vaccines in general to be specified vaccine types or adjuvant. They haven't even put people here who have had anaphylactic um, conditions. That's not even on the list here. So there's definitely some out of it, and most people don't, including the most commonly reported were pulmonary embolism. Oh, that's great. And Bell's palsy. Yeah, so here you go. I mean, if you could have Bell's palsy, which I did see a sweet lady have, and she still talked, but I still get the injection. I still want people to go and get. Why when it's like the flu? So now you got to come back to what actually unfolded with this event at the end of the day. 90+% of the people had 2 to 3 comorbidities. They're going to die anyway. That's a comorbidity, co meaning more than one, morbidity meaning you're dying from it anyway. You're dying from it anyway. So there's all these charts, circulatory, I don't know if I can see them on here, pregnancy, like there's even that stuff. They're not even talking about the miscarriages here as well. So until I get a thorough, and there's some links on here to go through it, it'll really appear, it'll really come to me as to what they're leaving out and what yet they still have to do in. So this weekly report would not be possible without the collaboration of federal, provincial, and territorial public health partners. So anybody has a sore arm, anything, it should be reported whether you think it's related or not. And I've had some people say 2 or 3 weeks later, and this person on my walk club, he is sick, and he's been sick for weeks now. And it was about a few weeks after, and he asked me, could it be because of that? I mean, can I flat out say yes, but I can't flat out say no. So at the end of the day, report it, report it, report it, because the toxicity that it's producing in the body as a pathogen is going to cause all kinds of hosts of things in people. Maybe not right away, but maybe yes right away. So there you go. Again, probably 8,000 reports are just the tip of the iceberg, and I'll put that down there. So it's really important, I guess, for us to just continue to have people to report it and to talk about people. And if they do not want to get it and they're being pressured, then support them in every way that you can. They have to stand. It's their body, their health. And at the end of the day, I just see it as more and more bullies. So is the bullies coming from their brother and sisters? The bully coming from their own children? Yes. Are they using to see their grandchildren as a bully Yes. It's disgusting. I tell you, I'm just like blown away. I mean, there is nothing anybody can say, husband included, that would actually make me change my mind. Although he's not getting it anyway. So that's it for today on that part. I just really wanted to bring up the things about the pilots and how that's affecting travel. So they're looking into, this is British Airways, they're looking into it. Again, they probably don't want to jump the gun with information, but whether they ever do is the question. We've got to be cognizant of that. And because, yeah, you're just going to be flying in an airplane with somebody's double vax, and there's a chance. The chance is probably not that everyone is going to, every pilot's going to keel over at time of flying. But in essence, any of these people who are getting them should have probably some sort of a quarantine effect, especially if they're flying or driving any vehicles. This could be an issue that people are not aware of. These big transport truck drivers driving on the road, and they have this chance, whatever that chance is. I mean, how many things are going to be happening in that way, and we're not going to get to the bottom of it exactly. for the reasons we won't. So let's go into, was there a couple of things here? There was a couple of things here. Just a little bit of inspiration. Turning the tides before we get into our definitions. Maybe we'll wrap them up today. So let's get in that. Of course, any comments, any questions, they're always welcomed here. The idea is to look at all sides and to come together. So this is Abraham Hicks one. I like opening up. They're short, they're sweet. In my opinion, express things that can be helpful. The standard of success in life isn't the things. That makes sense. The standard of success in life isn't the things. It isn't the money or the stuff. It is absolutely the amount of joy you feel. Okay, it is absolutely the amount of joy you feel. So think about all the things, all achievements, never mind the stuff. You can put stuff, okay, stuff could be achievements. The stuff could be positions, job positions. Stuff could be what you've done, what you've done, what adventures you've done, what sports you've done, what athlete, achievements, again, in achievements. But no, it's the absolute amount of joy you feel. That in itself is, again, we're going to take our thoughts as things too and do the things that bring us joy more and more. Awareness, yes, absolutely. But yeah, to be aware is good. It's absolutely good. It is what it is. Whatever you say it is, it is. But awareness is it's kind of what we're raising, and a lot of other people are raising it. There's all these people out there. Lots of good stuff. I got a lot of stuff to watch still. I'm not going to say they don't. But I'm just going to tell another story here. So I was walking one side of the street, the neighbor was walking on the other side of the street, and we were chatting, and then we came together at the corner. I was on my way to the market to get some apples and fruit. And where we converged, because he crossed over the street and I, crossed over, and so we're on the same corner. We're just sitting there talking, and I could feel that there was this guy. Well, he came and he was putting in the picket fence. He was fixing the fence for my neighbor. And I don't know, I was guided to say some things. I will never remember exactly how I said it, but one thing said, and I said, and he turned around, he says, oh my, it's amazing to hear people speak like that, something like that, I can't remember. He said something about this lady's right, so I'm speaking to a male neighbor. But at the end of the day, it's not about right or wrong, but I could just feel, and then we went on to talk for a good half hour. So he felt relieved that somebody else, he physically met, not just people you're watching on videos, emails that you're receiving information, all the different ways without physical, a person other than going to the protest. And there's a lot of people. This person went to the protest as well. But he's not getting the injection. No, he's not. But yet the lady that he is working for had said on this day, he's worked for her for 30 years, and she has said to him, unless you get your injection, I'm not going to have you work for me anymore. It's sad. It really, really is, because he's a handyman, but he does plumbing, tiling, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to, and he gave me his card to kind of connect, because it was really refreshing for him to actually be with somebody that physically in proximity to each other, that they can speak, they're speaking the same language. And it's not about we're feeling righteous or anything, it's just there's that level of awareness that we both have, and where other people are in different places with that. That's the simple. So that was on Saturday. So that was, that was helpful, and I felt that in any of us here, if you are guided to say something, say it, because you never know who's listening is going to say. Because one of the things we've already learned, I've talked about this, how many people who don't want to wear the mask, but yet do not want confrontation, so they'll wear the friggin' mask and go into the stores. And they tell me to do that too. I ain't doing it, but they tell me to do that, but I ain't doing it. So bravery, courage, and all of that. And so for people to talk to strangers about some of this stuff, let alone people they know, is really challenging. Not that I want to put that out there, But again, it's egoic work. So egoic work is going to be very, very important going forward to understand the ego. Really, really, really important to understand the ego. More than you, more than I think even people can even recognize the many masks that the altered ego, negative ego wears. A lot, a lot. And I'm even just still learning about more, to tell you the truth. Really learning about more. So let's go into some jokes and puns, and actually it's not puns, they're definitions, but there was some really, really cool ones that, well, anyway, really funny ones that I loved. I didn't read all of them, so we're going to go through them. So first one, alarm clock. So again, this is definitions. Alarm clock, something to scare the daylight into you. Tricycle, a taut rod. Tomorrow, one of the greatest labor-saving devices of today. Tomorrow. Hatchet, when a hen does, oh, what a hen does to an egg. Hatchet. Cactus, an overgrown pincushion. Mosquito, a hypodermic needle. A flying hypodermic needle. Yes, only I want to bring this up again because not everybody listens to all of them, is that the mosquito's purpose, that's I heard from a native several years ago. I met up with him because he was taking the seal oil, and the mosquito was told to me that the mosquito was our nature's inoculators. So you've heard that people in where malaria is or certain conditions, they're immune to it because the insects can, maybe probably just not even the mosquito, any bite from certain bugs, insects, may also be nature's inoculator. So it will allow the body to build the immunity to something that, I'm not saying we're going to fall in love with the mosquito, but I'm going to say we don't need to follow the trap that I'm hearing they want to destroy all the mosquitoes. Or what was that one in South America? Not too long ago. It just won't come to my mind. It may pop in, but even something like that, getting people to hate the mosquito. It is the insect that is probably the very best at inoculating us with the local surroundings of little things. Now maybe some of them don't have it in it. Maybe they don't have it, some do, but the chances are you get enough mosquito bites, you're probably immune to whatever is something going on. Anyway, and maybe it doesn't work for everything. Conference, a meeting of the board. Suit of armor, a nightgown, spelt K-N. A suit of armor, a nightgown. Sweet. Pipe cleaner, a toothpick with long underwear. Pipe cleaner, a toothpick with long underwear. Okay, wedding ring, a tourniquet worn on the left hand to stop circulation. All right, well, pasteurize, too far to see. Pasteurize. I've heard that one before. Rubber gloves, things you can put on and then wash your hands without getting them wet. Rubber gloves. Actor, someone who tries to be everything but himself. Haha. So it's about time we get rid of the actor and be ourselves. Criminal, one who gets caught. Cabbage. Cabbage. The age of a taxi. A cabbage. Pyramid, an organized pile of rocks. Long-haired music, a monkey's album. You know, some of them. Okay, last one, and I don't really like this one at all, so I'm not even sure if I should say this one. Yeah, I think I'm not going to. If you really want to know what it is, I'll put it in a private message, but seriously, some things are just not meant to be heard. And some things are not meant to be seen. And that's why I'll say to people, of the things I hear and of the things I see, I don't tell everybody all of it, and I pick and choose, because if you hear something or read something, you can see how the mind will play, the altered or negative ego. And if you see things, the imagery, because we're very visual, a lot of people are very visual. There's always a visual part to everyone anyway. We have these eyes and memory and visual and imagery and stuff like that. And it's no different than a horror movie. Then you have these, you have these things that the egoic mind, or the altered ego, not the positive ego or the true ego, but the altered negative ego, that can play with and can play with on your mind. And once you learn it, unless you actually know how to blow it out, release it, shed it, that'll do very good for most of the time. And then at times things can try to pop in as the altered ego is trying to play with you and get you to feel distraught and sicken to your stomach because you've seen a certain thing, be it even a major accident on a road or some sort of a trauma that way, right? So there's experience of it. But in some cases, people get traumatized by even just visually seeing it, or even hearing about it. And that's why some people will say, nope, nope, I don't want to hear about it. Stop talking about it. I don't want to hear any more about it. And we really got to go with that not everybody can handle hearing certain things. We've really got to listen to people when they say those things, and be assured that certain images are very graphic, and or you can hear certain things and bring the images up because of all the movies that we've watched, right? All the movies, they'll, we've seen them in some way, shape, or form in the movies at some point. That's why I refuse to watch horror flicks for many years, just refused to watch them. And anytime I watched certain movies, before I go to bed, I just lie there in silence, and I can see the altered ego bringing up these images. It's almost like I'm playing different things out. It's all focusing on that waste of energy, but it's all focused. It's just then, yeah, after I kind of witness and observe my mind doing that, I just blow it all out, clear it all out, still it, bring peace in, and then carry on into the now and going forward. But yeah, so things can regurgitate and come back. So, well, live at 5. There you go. Another one. I'm not quite sure. I know it's a long weekend, so we'll see what we can do in the upcoming week or so. It's a long weekend, so it may not be till next Monday. A lot of things on the plate. It's even good food. But anyway, take care, everybody, and we will see you again soon. Any questions, comments, please place them below. I'll put whatever links that came up here, I'll put them in there, and I'll post some of these definitions as well, so you can share them or get a chuckle out of them, stuff like that. Take care, bye. Bye for now.